Viscount. Weekday mornings at 9 on Channel 4.
Magic's back. One-on-one with Fred Rogan, Saturday at 7.
Thanks for staying up later. We're very pleased to have Joe Pesci with us tonight, and you know, for the most part, the list of credits: Raging Bull and Goodfellas and Home Alone and Lethal Weapon and My Cousin Vinny and JFK, and most recently just released The Public Eye, and we'll get to all that in a minute. But how do you account, and this is the most interesting thing, at least in your public biography, how do you account for that long gap between Raging Bull, where you're nominated for an Academy Award, playing Jake LaMotta's younger brother, opposite Robert De Niro. How do you account for that long gap between a role like that and then your reemergence as a prominent actor?
Well, the only way to account for it is what happened. I mean, you just, I made films. I didn't make a lot of them. They were just unseen. They weren't popular films. I did a film with a German director right after Raging Bull. First film after Raging Bull was a picture called Dear Mr. Wonderful, which was made in America and financed by the German government and a German director and crew. Michael Ballhaus was the cinematographer, who is now a famous cinematographer. Scorsese used him right after me, and he's all over the place now. He's just fantastic. The director was Peter Lilienthal, who was a great director and taught directing in Germany to some of the greats over there. I mean, Herzog, and so it was a good film. You know, it's just the kind of movie that's not pumped out in Hollywood in big volume and everything. That you know, no 1,500 theater openings, no press. You know, it got good reviews.
Did you think you were fading out, if that's the way to put it? Did you think it was going to be this one-shot deal? You'd always have that masterpiece up on the shelf, but that nothing else would come your way? Not right away. After a while, I started to get that feeling that something was going to happen, and it would have been okay with me. To just have had Raging Bull would have been fine with me. I mean, at the point, I would have settled. I think I said it in an interview early on in Raging Bull, right after Raging Bull, that I was just so happy to make that one film that way. I mean, with Martin and Bob and Kathy and Frank Vincent. The cast was just great. You know, it was just perfect. And even that came at a time when you'd almost given up the notion of being an actor, right? I had given up. I didn't. It wasn't even so much giving up as I just said, I don't even want it anymore. I mean, it was that point. You know, it was beyond giving up. You know what I mean? It's something I said. I was trying to convince myself in my mind that I didn't even want it anymore. So what were you doing? This is, I guess, 1979 or so, because the movie was released in '80, right? Yeah. What were you doing when Scorsese
before
captured you to do this?
Well, I was. It had happened. It was a series of events. I made the film Death Collector, and then I went to California with it, with Ralph DeVito, who wrote it, a friend of mine, and directed it, and Joe Cortez was the star, and I was a co-star of the movie. We all went to Hollywood with the movie, you know, thinking we were this is it, we're gonna get off.
This is just the beginning. We made a lot of money. We're gonna make a lot more money. We're gonna be staying in nice places like this all the time. We're gonna be with different people. We're gonna be dressing different, acting different. The best for us.
Right.
That's why I want you to do me a favor.
Name.
Promise? Don't wear sneakers anymore.
Vincent Canby loved the movie, you know, Death Collector, got nice reviews. But again, no big pump, no money, you know. And we went there, and I couldn't get an agent. I couldn't even get to meet agents. Joe Cortez, he did okay. He met some agents, and people in the business were looking to help him, and Ralph DeVito was getting some action. I was getting nowhere. I mean, I couldn't even meet agents. I did some extra work around town. It was really, I went and read for some parts and got sloughed around and pushed around. And I was really set back by it, you know. But it was this kind of rejection, you know, I've had all my life with the music career, with the acting career when I first started as a kid. So you get it's a terrible thing to get used to, but you get used to it after a while, you know. And after that, I mean, that was it for me. So I came back and I stopped. I went right to Las Vegas. A friend of mine lived in Las Vegas, Tom DeVito, who was one of the Four Seasons a while ago. And we were friendly all our lives. So I stopped there and I talked to Tom, and he saw the way I felt. He gave me a room in his home, you know, roof over my head, fed me. And I was just moping around, feeling sorry for myself. And then I went to work as a mason, as a laborer for a mason. I was, you know, mixing the mud, handing him bricks and blocks, and just working like a dog for no money, just torturing myself. And then it came to a point, my father was, I was there for, I think, about a year almost, you know, just living another life completely. And I was fooling around with thinking about entertaining in some of the local clubs after a while. You know, the smell of it comes, once it's in your blood, I mean, you're dead, you know. I was raised on show business, so you're dead once it happens. You can't go near a club without thinking, well, I can do better than this guy, and I can make that money, so I might as well do this. So I started thinking about working the lounges and things like that. And then my father got sick again. He had heart problems with his heart and his arteries. He had angina. He had had a bypass already, and then I spoke to him. It was around Thanksgiving time, and he was getting pains again, and he had another heart attack, and he went to the hospital, and he was in a coma. And I said, that's it, I have to go home. So I went home. He passed away, and I went to these people I had met in the Bronx working in a nightclub, had a restaurant. They said, why don't you come here and work, run the restaurant? You know the business, you've been around so long, in and out of clubs. And, you know, and that was it. And I was running a restaurant in the Bronx when I got the call from Bob De Niro.
De Niro had seen The Death Collector and remembered your work in it, and Scorsese, I guess, as well?
Bob and Martin had, they screened different things. When they cast, I mean, they're maniacs about casting movies. They cast for days and hours and months. Yeah. I mean, they really get into casting, which is the biggest part of it. And they were looking at all these films. They looked at Death Collector for Joe Cortese to play a character called Pete Savage, which was originally in Raging Bull. And then they wanted to know who I was. And they got in touch with Ralph DeVito and Joe Cortese, and they said, well, you know, he left the business, he doesn't want to work anymore, but he's running a restaurant in the Bronx. And Bob and Martin got on with Sis Corman, who was casting. They got in touch with Ralph DeVito, who was the director, writer of Death Collector, my friend, and made him track me down, and they called me in the Bronx.
Came to the restaurant to see, I think I read somewhere.
They came to the restaurant. First they called me. I mean, Bob called. I had one of my waiters. I was out during the day, and one of my waiters, when I came back, said, I said, yeah, where's my messages? He says, oh, they're all over there. He says, oh, and Robert De Niro called you. You know, and I said, get out of here and give me a slap. You know, it was just, I thought he was, you know, riding me or something, because they knew that I was in show business and acting and everything. So when I saw the message, I realized that the waiter would not know that the area code for California was 213. So I said, there's a good shot this is legit. So I called, and it was MGM, UA, and I said, Robert De Niro, please. And who's calling? I said, Joe Pesci. And he said, the woman on the other end said, she came right back on. She said, he's not here right now. And I said, yeah, I figured that. Well, just tell him I called, because I still figured that someone was playing some kind of gag, yeah. And I went to sleep, took a nap, and I was woken up by a phone call. And the woman said, Joe Pesci. Said, yes, just a minute, Robert De Niro calling. And he says, Joe, yeah. This is Robert De Niro. This is Bob De Niro. I said, hi, how are you? He says, is this Joe Pesci? He said, yes. Said, this is really Bob De Niro. And I said, this is really Joe Pesci, too. And that's Bob's way. I mean, he's just very polite and, you know, not a push-out person, you know. So anyway, we spoke for a while, and I told him that I wasn't acting anymore, you know, and that he said, well, can I meet you, you know, and talk to you about this? I said, I remember asking him how big the part was, because I said, if it's just a little part, I don't want to go through it all again, you know. If it's a big part and I could share how great I am. He said, well, you know, these things, you know, let me just meet you. I want to talk to you. So I said, okay, but I can't come to California, I'll tell you now. I mean, there's no way. He said, no, we'll come there. So he made a date for...
Did you give him several days you weren't available, or it would be inconvenient?
No, not really. It was any time. Once you hear that kind of, stuff coming, you get the itches right away. You want to believe something's going to happen again. But, I mean, I had been through so much garbage all my life about it, trying to get somewhere and then not getting somewhere. So you learn not to get your hopes up too much. And they came for dinner on Sunday. It was Bob, Martin, Sis Corman and her husband. And we had dinner. A friend of mine and his wife sat there. We were all staring at Robert De Niro and Martin Scorsese like this. We wanted to see them and all. So we had dinner. We talked about the movie and different things. And Martin was pretty excited meeting me, and Bob was too. Just, initial feelings. They thought that I was really right for it, and they wanted to read. So we started reading.
And the part became bigger than it was on paper, right? The part of
my poor friend Joe Cortese lost. They took all the stuff from Pete Savage and condensed it all into Joey LaMotta's part. So there was just three main characters, which was Robert, Jake LaMotta, Joey LaMotta, and Vicky LaMotta.
Kathy Moriarty.
Kathy Moriarty.
That's interesting. She had almost no resume, or maybe none at all.
She had nothing at all. I met Kathy. She was in a bathing beauty contest in a place called Hoops. It was a disco, and I remember going. I met her myself that night, spoke to her, and asked her if she had any acting ability, and she said no. And I heard this great voice and that face. She was a beautiful kid. And I remember going back to Marty and saying, you're looking all over the place in Hollywood. I mean, they were looking at 500 women, and girls. I said, you're looking for someone to play Vicky. I said, I found Vicky. Did you ever think of that? And he said, well, bring her in, bring her to Sis. And I read with her for a week myself in the Bronx, just reading with her, giving her some kind of a feel for it, told her just to be herself. And then she went in to read with Sis Corman, and then they brought her to Marty.
Your own role, like I said, as Joey LaMotta, it grew. Now, is that because it worked in terms of the script that way, or was it primarily because you developed an affinity with De Niro and Scorsese, and it grew out of that?
I think the initial thing was once Bob and I started to read together. I mean, I think it was instant magic for both of us and for Martin too.
Wrap it around your hand. How many times I gotta tell you?
Not too many more.
Go ahead. All right, go ahead.
You want me to hit you?
I want you to hit me with everything you got. I want you to lay me out. Go ahead.
You sure?
Yeah.
All right.
Harder.
Yeah?
You throw a punch like you take it up the ass. Come on. Harder. Harder. Harder.
That's hard. What do you
Take it
want?
off. Take it off.
Ah, come on. You want to stop now? That's enough with that.
Come on.
Go around.
Girl, come on.
Hey, girl, huh?
I'm gonna smack you again. Throw it again.
It's enough. That's enough.
I mean, Scorsese and De Niro
Right.
make the decision themselves. They make it
Exactly.
directly. And I would guess that part of this affinity has to do with your shared Italian background. But it isn't just that. It's the type of childhood. It's the circumstances you grew up in that are at least similar, if not identical, right?
Right. Well, I think that without knocking myself too much, I think that Robert and Martin both were a bit more, they're more intellects than I am. I mean, I think they had better education than I did, and I don't know if they were on the streets as much as I was as a kid. And I'm not sure. I mean, I think Martin may have, no, he's better educated than I am also. I mean, both of them were in a different area of it. But the streets were involved, and they were around the same type of people. I think that mine was just a little more in the streets, I think. I think they're both more read than I am, more well-read.
There are really some raw scenes in Raging Bull with passionate anger, not just in the ring, but in the apartment, in the streets. How did you conjure that up with De Niro?
Well, it's not so much with Bob, but it's just growing up in the area. I mean, my father was a very passionate person. He was passionate about everything he did. I mean, if he laughed, he'd laugh. I very seldom saw him laugh, so when he did laugh, you knew it was legitimate. You know, he was never a fake about anything, not a phony. And when he was angry, and he was capable of great rage, my father, and he really did it well. And I think that I learned it from him, how to do it.
Maybe perhaps I impersonate him sometimes or get into where he was. I was around it so much. And I think I got that part of it around him. But also, it's in the streets, you know, in the neighborhoods. You see it so much. So you can only relate what you know, as an actor. And you can try to find out about it. A lot of actors do, and they try to live the part before they get to it sometimes. But firsthand is always better.
I read somewhere, maybe you can confirm the extent to which it's true, where you and De Niro are getting ready for the scene where he accuses you of fooling around with Vicky. He's obviously obsessively jealous about Vicky LaMotta, Jake LaMotta was. And you guys had to get into a violent rage with one another. And he said to you off camera something about you screwing your mother or something to kind of really
Well,
tick
instead
you
of
off.
asking me if I screwed his wife, he asked me if I screwed my mother.
Off camera.
Well, it was on my takes, for my reaction shots. We were doing my close-up reactions, so he could say that off camera. But we all do things like that. When you know another actor very well, you try to find the buttons to push that are going to help him give great reactions for the performance, And Bob's good at that. He's very helpful. I mean, he gives 150% to the other person,
Fuck my wife.
What?
Fuck my wife.
How could you ask me a question like that? How could you ask me? I'm your brother. You ask me that? Where do you get your balls big enough to ask me that?
Just tell me.
I'm not answering it. I'm not going to answer that. It's stupid.
The only way to make a great film and have a great scene is to give it your all, but to give your all to help the other person do their thing too. I mean, and that's the secret, making the other guy look great. The other guy looks great, you're going to come up smelling like a rose,
This was released, I guess, in '80, so it's right at the beginning of the decade. When the '80s ended, almost all the awards, when they did the retrospective for Best Film of the Decade,
Yeah.
by consensus, Raging Bull was the best film, not of the year, but of the entire decade. Did you have a sense of that while you were working on it? How great it could be?
I knew it would be something special. I really did. I didn't know how special, naturally. I mean, I remember I used to kid all the time, and when I really wanted the part, in the beginning I was afraid that I wasn't going to get it, so I was acting like, well, I really don't want it anyway, who cares if I don't get it, Yeah. But then once we get into reading more and more, my nose was really opened, I really wanted to get back into it, and it was so great between Bob and myself and Martin working with them, the creative juices that start flowing. I mean, I was ready to kill to get the part. I wanted to be in there. So this stuff is so good, when you're doing it, you can get the feeling of it. You know that it's just extra special stuff. But to know how special, I don't know. But I remember saying to Bob and Marty, I said, listen, if I get this part, I mean, I can tell you right now, I will definitely get nominated for an Oscar. I don't know if I'll win it. I'm not saying I'll win it. I don't want to be that brazen, but I promise you I'll get nominated.
And you're a guy who's given up acting, you're working in a restaurant, and you're telling him, not just I can do this role, I'll get nominated.
Yeah, right.
Who did win that year?
Timothy Hutton.
For
Ordinary People. It was a great performance, and it was a good film. It's hard to pick after a while. You pick 5 people. I mean, that's enough. I think they should give everybody Oscars once they pick 5 people.
But then they wouldn't have a show.
Then they wouldn't have a show. And the show has gotten so big in the business, it's really great. I always used to say, they don't know what they're doing, they cheat. And then they gave me one, so I didn't know what to say now.
After all the knocking around that you did, not just before Raging Bull, but even in between Raging Bull and then hitting it big again some years later, what do the guys from the old neighborhood say when you see them now? What's their reaction to your success?
Well, you have to understand there's a lot of old neighborhoods, too. I mean, I was born in Newark, New Jersey. I lived there till I was about 10 years old, and then I moved to Belleville, New Jersey, and then we moved to Bloomfield, New Jersey, and I was in the Bronx for a good number of years, too. So I have a lot of old neighborhoods and a lot of old friends from when I worked in nightclubs. There was a big following that came to see us all the time. So there's a lot of old friends, and it's mixed. A lot of them are genuinely happy and for the success part of it, and they feel very close to it. They feel a part of it, you know, which is really nice. It's for them also, you know. I always say that success is not just for the person that it happens to. You have to share it with your family and with your friends, you know, because everyone feels a part of it, and everyone supported you a lot somewhere along the line. But then there's always people that are jealous and take it the wrong way. They think that you think who you are. That's the...
All right, folks, I know we spent most of the time talking about Raging Bull and about Joe's early years, and that leaves at least a half dozen movies you folks are interested in, and there's only one way to remedy that, and that's to have Joe come back for part 2, which he will do. But this is going to amaze you.
Yeah.
We happen to have a little example of your ability as a vocalist right here on this jukebox. This would be from... Am I still anywhere in the picture? Hi, how are you? Nice to see you. This would be from Little
money.
Joe. Why don't you? I'll just push the button and you set it up. This would be from Little Joe Sure Can Sing. Good night and see you later.
Day after day, alone on a hill, the man with the foolish grin is keeping perfectly still. But nobody wants to know him.
He's a good friend of mine.
They can see that just a fool.
The choice is yours. Tuesday, we get to pick from them.
But Sunday we get to pick on them.
Will you shut up?
Saturday Night Live goes prime time for a presidential bash.
They're gonna find out about you someday.
Chevy Chase, Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, the best of all the president's men and their women.
Should be a hootenanny.
SNL's Presidential Bash, Sunday at 9, 8 Central on NBC.
Hello, I'm Paul Moynihan.
Capture the... Staying up later, Joe Pesci is back. We talked about his childhood and some of the things leading up to his acting success last time, and we covered Raging Bull pretty much in detail, and that leaves us plenty more movies to talk about. But before we get to that, of all the various jobs you had before things really fell into place with the acting, postal clerk, produce manager in a drugstore, I think you drove a pickup truck. Which of those things, if any of them, were you well suited for? Did you enjoy doing?
You find enjoyment in every job you do, you know, even if it's... You start off enthusiastic, but then it always turns into a job, if you know what I mean. So, I found enjoyment in each job, but none of them were really great. I mean, I had fun as a barber. I mean, that's the job I had the longest. I was a men's hairstylist barber. I had my own shop for a while. I liked that because once I got my own shop, I was able to just make 4 appointments a day, charge a certain amount of money, close the place, and go play golf the rest of the day. So that was better for me.
Now, what era was that?
Jesus.
I'm trying to pin down where men's hairstyles were at that point.
I was probably early 70s.
Major blow drying?
Major blow drying, right.
Would you tell the guy who sat down in the seat how you thought his hair should be, or would you just strictly follow orders?
I was really good, so they would like really pay attention to me after a while. You know, I had a good reputation in the neighborhood where I was working in Nutley and Belleville, New Jersey. So after a while, they came to me and trusted me to do it, which is the best way because, once you wash the hair and cut it, you can tell the best way that it's going to fall, that the customer can handle it. I mean, you can make someone look... I had guys come to me with skimpy, ugly, terrible hair and show me a picture of Robert Redford and say, yeah, this is how I want to look. I say, yeah, good. Well, I get my hammer and chisel out. We're going to work on your... First, we'll go to work on your nose. I'll kick you in the chin. We'll have to reconstruct. I mean, the hair is nothing like Robert Redford's hair, and they want it to look that way, Instead of getting the most out of your own particular hair is the best thing to do.
I noticed, now that you mention it, that you've had a lot of different hairstyles in various movies. Now, is that coincidence, or do you exert an influence on that? Do you say, the hair is a big part of how this guy will look and how I get the attitude?
To me, it is a big thing, especially because I spent so much time styling hair. I got to know who wore their hair certain ways, different type of personalities, So when I read a script and I try to visualize a character before I play it to try to become the character physically, I always picture them with different hair other than my own naturally, unless it's me or it's my type of a thing, you know. And having that background, I was able to work with a lot of men's hair pieces. So I would add hair, I would shave my hair off. In Raging Bull, at one point, Bob and I, to get a receding look, rather than put a piece on Bob, I was telling him to work on it with thinning shears, just make it thin. I knew ways to do things. This guy was ready to tweeze hair out. I said, you don't have to pull hair out of your head. Well, use a thinning shear, you know, so it's a lot of tricks, and I use them all.
Did you know guys like the guys in Goodfellas, guys who carried themselves like that, guys who spoke like that?
You know, I'm sure you met people like that yourself.
Oh, yeah.
You go to restaurants and all, so yes, I met them all during my life. You know, the funny part is you meet more who really aren't, who say they are. And for some reason, I don't know why they do. But, you know, there's a lot of fake wise guys around. Genuine ones, how do you know when you meet a genuine one? You don't know, unless he shoots you. Or unless there's a serious problem. You say, uh-oh, I found the real article here, you know. But there's so many of them that say they are, they're not, and people like to carry themselves that way. It's just hard to tell, but I'm sure I've met a number of them, yeah.
The important thing was to capture, I guess among many important things, but one thing that was right at the center of it was to capture that feeling of danger. The feeling that this guy, who wasn't necessarily the biggest guy in the room, wasn't necessarily the guy that when you first walked in you'd say, this is someone I should be afraid of.
Yeah.
To establish this guy as a coiled spring who could uncoil at almost any second. How did you get to that?
What do you mean, how did I get?
What was the process, if you can describe it, to creating this character? Creating this guy who was very funny, comical as could be, but beneath the surface...
What do you mean he was funny? What do you mean he was funny?
Well, you know, you sort of say things funny is what I mean.
No, you don't mean me. You mean the character was saying things
Well, maybe I mean you. I don't know what I mean.
I'm funny how? I mean funny like I'm a clown, I amuse you. I make you laugh. I'm here to f***ing amuse you. What do you mean funny? Funny how? How am I funny?
Not just... You know how you tell a story. What?
No, I don't know. You said it. How do I know? You said I'm funny. How the f*** am I funny? What the f*** is so funny about me? Tell me. Tell me what's funny.
Get the fuck out of here, Tommy.
You motherfucker. I almost had him. You stuttering kid.
I really don't think the guy was funny.
You don't think he was funny?
I don't think he was funny.
Not even mildly amusing?
To you, he was amusing.
To me.
He was not. Ask Ray Liotta when he was sitting in that chair if that guy was amusing. And you know why people laughed? It was nervous laughter.
Yeah.
That was not amusing.
Is the violence that Tommy and the other guys in Goodfellas exhibit, is it the way it's characterized by some as random violence, or is there always a reason for it? It may seem like a ridiculous reason to someone who's outside that setting, but is there always a reason for it?
I think it's to show, it's to make a point. And so they'll pick a situation to make an example of, is what it is. They'll pick, so when you say random, it's probably random, but the point might be made for another reason. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't know if I made that plain.
To someone else, don't cross me, don't
Exactly.
do like this guy
They may
did.
just do it. They find a spot to do it and they'll do it so that everybody gets the effect of it. So if they know this is someone you don't play with. You play when I want you to play. You know what I mean? It's like, you don't play with me. I'm not a kid.
We were talking about your background, and you've mentioned this guy's name a couple times, Frank Vincent.
Mm-hmm.
This is a guy you knew growing up or early on in your career, and he shows up in Raging Bull and in Goodfellas, right?
Right, and Death Collector. He was in Death Collector also.
What's the connection between you two guys?
Frank and I worked together in nightclubs. We had a group. Frank played drums and did comedy. And I sang and played guitar. You know, lean years. It was for a long time. We worked together with another kid, Pat Colello was a singer. Then we had another singer, Vince Mazzi, and Ray Capri. We had different people we kept moving in and out of, and Frank and I would stay there. So we did little skits together. Frank would do the stand-up comedy act. He would insult people. He was an insult comic. And after a while, I mean, I knew Frank so well. I knew his weaknesses. We were together so long. He'd be insulting people. He'd say something to them, and then all of a sudden I would nail him. And the audience would love it. you know, because I would get back at him for them. They weren't sharp enough or quick enough, and I had a microphone, so I would nail them. And they got to like that, so we set up things after a while where that would happen. And we became pretty successful at it. I mean, we were earning good money. And then, you know, when the films came along, we did Death Collector first. When Ralph DeVito called me, I brought Frank in. And I said, I think Frank would do a good job for you, you know. And then Frank went in and did Bernie Felci. He played a Jewish businessman who wound up getting killed in the movie. Mm-hmm. He got killed in that movie. And then I brought him to Martin Scorsese and Bob De Niro for Raging Bull. They read him and they liked him immediately. I mean, there was a good rapport between us because we had worked together.
Get your stuff. We're making an out of my brother. Get your stuff. Joey, come on, relax. Shut up. Mind your business and shut up. You're taking us all home, Joey. I said shut up. Oh, good night. What's the matter with you? There's nothing going on here. This is innocent. We're only having a few drinks. What? Relax. Come on. You're no better than that. All right. It's all calm now. Relax. Come on. We've been friends a long time. I'm just upset. You lost my brother's wife. Joey, there's nothing going on over here. Sorry, I really am. We're friends. We can straighten this. Right? Huh? Nothing going on? Nothing going on?
So, and then when we did Goodfellas, we needed somebody to play Billy Batson and get killed, and the three of us looked at each other and said, call Frank. Frank can aggravate anybody till you want to kill him.
And as the elders of our time choose to remain blind,
I've been away for 6 years.
Yeah.
let us rejoice and
I did my f***ing time, Jimmy. I did my f***ing time. I came home, and I want what I gotta get. I got f***ing mouths to feed.
Pretty good.
You understand? Yeah. Get the door!
Have you got a bad temper yourself? Because some of the scenes you're famous for are temper scenes.
I think I'm capable of it. I mean, when I was younger, it was a lot worse. I think the older you get, you mellow a lot more, and I think I've mellowed. I can get an attitude right away, but I can walk a lot quicker. I can get away from it. Without going through it, I just don't want to go through it. It's not worth it. But I'm sure I have a great temper. Great temper.
Even in the, for lack of a better term, dramatic films, there's almost always a humorous element to the characters you play.
Yeah.
And there's almost always a, you know, an extreme...
You're starting again. You're starting with me again.
You know, I am.
This humorous thing, you're starting with me. If Billy Crystal here said, don't get me started.
Don't get me started. But there's always that bigger-than-life personality thing.
Mm-hmm.
Is that who you are? Is there an element of who you are in that?
Well, I think I see the humor in a lot of things is what it is, you know. I try to keep whenever a situation would get very serious, I would try to lighten it for everyone, you know. It's probably that nervous thing to keep, I mean, if I was sitting there when Tommy was going off at Ray Liotta in the movie, I would have probably been the guy to say, yeah, oh, you didn't mean it that way, you know. You know, I would have probably been the guy trying to lighten the situation. Well, you know, I don't think he meant funny that way. I mean, he's funny. You know, hey, we're all funny. You know, I would have found a way to try to lighten it, I think.
My Cousin Vinny. Any story connected with the making of that? Anything that jumps to mind? When I say the title, what do you think of?
Well, we shot that down south, and it was a lot of fun going down south. There's always a thing between Northerners and Southerners, you know. But the people were nice, and it's just funny. They would come up in the middle of they'd walk right in the middle of the scene and say, "What y'all filming?" And I said, "What? What y'all filming?" And I'd say, "What? I'm sorry, I don't understand you. Filming. What you filming?" "I'm sorry, but you have to bring in an interpreter sometimes," because we were in some small towns. And I had a lot of laughs with the people. You know, I played golf all the time. We were staying on a country club. So I had a good time down there. It was just a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun making that movie. I mean, to me, I like light comedy like that. I just had a real good time questioning the people on the stand, trapping them. I just had a good time with it. I really liked it.
In a film like that, how much are you permitted, and I realize it probably varies from director to director, how much are you permitted to ad-lib, embellish it, and how much is off the script?
Well, a film like that is, I probably could have, you know, put more into it, but My Cousin Vinny was written so well that everything was there. I didn't feel the need to do anything. I mean, I may have turned a phrase here or there. I probably would have been allowed to do a lot if I wanted to, but there was no call for it. I mean, I thought it was really good. I added Utes.
The two Utes.
To what? What was that word?
What word?
To what?
What?
Did you say Utes?
Yeah, two Utes.
What is a Ute?
Oh, excuse me, Your Honor. Two youths.
That was my contribution to that film. I remember it was Rocky Graziano. I always loved Rocky Graziano for his naturalness. Whenever he would do a benefit for somebody or something, he was always interested in kids. And I remember him saying he kept his accent intact, and he was really a sweet guy. And he was setting up something for kids, and I remember he was giving a speech, and I was watching television, and he said, "You Utes." He started off with, "You Utes." "You Utes out there." And I turned to somebody and said, "Did he say Utes?" And he repeated it a couple of times. "I'm there for Utes. Anytime the Utes are there, I want to help the Utes." You know?
The Public Eye, the movie that's out now, and obviously you're the lead in this, but it's not a classic romantic lead. It's a very different kind of guy.
Right.
This guy who's one of these shutterbug photographers who took the kinds of pictures that became the style of newspapers like the Daily News and the Daily Mirror here in New York.
Life magazine, he made
in the 30s, 40s.
Those pictures in Life magazine
50s.
were the ones that he started. Those great pictures that we liked, that made the magazine. Life as it happens. I mean, he captured the moment. He really did. Captured the event.
What is it about this guy that when you read this script you said, this is a role I should play? Because you're at a point now where I imagine a lot of scripts are coming your way and you can be pretty selective.
Well, the thing that I liked about it was the script itself was really well written, and it's a good script. You don't find good scripts and good stories. I like the story, and I like the characters within this story so much. They weren't your run-of-the-mill characters and hero and heroine type of people.
How you doing, kid?
Kiss off.
You right?
Here, where? Sign here.
You ever heard of the Great Bernzini?
No.
I shot Dutch Schultz, Legs Diamond. None of those guys ever hid their faces from me.
Hey, it just said kiss off.
All right. Have it your own way. I get everybody while they're alive or after. I'll let you in on a secret. Nobody looks better after.
Oh, you're that freak that drives around in Sudan at night.
That's me. In your line of work, I'm known as the photographer to the stars.
I heard of you. Them other creeps around?
They're in the corner smoking. One shot, come on. Real fast, nobody even know. Come on, let me immortalize you. Back up a little. Thanks, kid.
So I liked that about it. And then I was turned on to Ouija, who was Arthur Felick, who was one of the original, if not the original paparazzo in New York in the 40s. This guy was the first one to take pictures of celebrities and everybody else.
Let me jump in. His
Sure.
nickname was Ouija, which came off the idea of a Ouija board.
Ouija board.
Because he was so prescient and intuitive that he would seem to know where something that would make a worthwhile picture was going to happen even before it happened. He'd show up at the scene of a fire or a gangland rub-out seconds after it had happened, and he'd get the best picture and one that would wind up on the front page of the newspaper.
Not only that, I'm sure this one you don't know about. There's a picture that he took of a street corner. For some reason, he took a picture of this corner where you say, well, it's a building, it's a, you know, whatever. He took the picture for some reason. 5 minutes later, a gas main right there blew up and destroyed the whole thing, and he took a picture again.
Luck.
Luck, either that or he blew up the gas main, I don't know. Maybe he was a criminal.
He and also your guy,
Yeah.
The great Bernzini is one of the the nicknames he has, or they call him Bernsey. His name is Leon Bernstein.
Leon Bernstein.
They have not only a sense for where the action's going to be,
Mm-hmm.
but also a sense of how people like to see this stuff. So this guy isn't above rearranging where the corpses are, or moving the guy's hat over to get it into the shot, or whatever.
Well, that's the fun part of the character, you know, is that he does those things. I definitely fashioned him after Ouija, the original Ouija. So I always say it's based loosely on the life of Ouija, because this is the way the man lived. And when I did my research about him and started to take pictures myself with a speed graphic and everything, I started to get into it. I fashioned myself after him. So once again, I made a character and just extended him longer to play the lead in the movie.
Bernsey, clear out of here.
You must be kidding. I heard this guy's walking around with meat cleavers sticking out of his head.
Get the hell out.
One shot, one
Keep an
shot.
eye on him. Throw a sheet over him.
Oh, thanks a lot. Thank you. Excuse me. You better uncover him now, son. Christ and Deo, Coniamato, Confite, Borelli, Salutaris, Adeum Clitical, Juventus Meam, Coniamato, Confite, Boris, Tuesdays, Fortitudo, Core, Mecristi, Ed Core, Tristis, in Cherotom, Fiji, Manamica, Senentui, Baratoria, Dem Clitical, Juventus Meam, Please,
Wait a second.
Core, Tristis, in Cherotom, Fiji,
It's certainly not me. I mean, I have a lot of things that I share with the man. I mean, he was a true artist. He was willing to sacrifice the way he lived his life to do his art, and didn't get paid any money for it either.
Joe Pesci's latest film, The Public Eye, is at a theater near you, or should be very shortly, and Home Alone 2 comes out around the holidays shortly after Thanksgiving is our best guest. Thanks a lot for being here. We really enjoyed it.
Thank you. It's nice, thanks.
Would you like to come back and finish the cigar tomorrow night? See you
Move
later.
on.
NBC, his agent tells E! News. The agent says he met with NBC President Robert Wright this week. He continued, Wright told him NBC wasn't for sale, but Cosby and his agent are optimistic a deal may still be made. An NBC spokeswoman offered no comment. Cosby got his first break in 1965 on an NBC program, I Spy, and has had close ties to the network throughout his career. David Letterman has agreed to stay at NBC at least until next June. The late-night talk show host and network executives announced Friday Letterman's contract has been extended 3 months to let him explore opportunities outside the network. Letterman has reportedly grown unhappy at NBC over the past 2 years. An NBC spokeswoman says the agreement was struck in a good faith effort to move the negotiating process forward. Paramount Studios chairman Brandon Tartikoff resigned Thursday after 16 months on the job. He says he wants to be with his daughter full-time. She is rehabilitating in New Orleans after a car crash last year. The former NBC programming chief brought the hit film Wayne's World to Paramount, But the studio's financial record has been mixed during his term as chairman.